This is a very special episode of 15 Minutes with Fuzz. Most episodes are special, but on this one, we get to talk about Dolly Parton. And I think the only thing that would make this one more special is if I were speaking with the Queen herself. Good day, everyone, and thank you for listening to 15 Minutes with Fuzz. My name is Fuzz Martin, and this is a show about positive things happening in and around Washington County, Wisconsin. Each week, I showcase positive people, events, and organizations that are doing good in our neighborhoods. And this week, the United Way of Washington County joins me to talk about their new partnership with Dolly Parton's Imagination Library program. Yeah, it's super cool. I'm joined by Kristen Brandner, the CEO of United Way of Washington County, Bridget David, the site manager for Girl Scouts of Wisconsin Southeast, and Joe Pickler, director of finance and administration at The Threshold. This is an amazing program, and I guarantee if you have kids under 5 or if you know anyone with kids under 5 in Washington County, you're going to be taking action as soon as we get done with this episode. I know you're going to listen all the way through because you love the show. With that, here are 15 minutes on Imagination Library with Kristen, Bridget, and Joe on behalf of the United Way of Washington County right here on 15 Minutes with Fuzz. Kristen, Bridget, Joe, thank you so much for joining me today. So to start, could you please give our listeners an overview of United Way of Washington County's mission?
Absolutely. United Way of Washington County, our mission is to improve lives and community conditions in a measurable and lasting way. So a couple of the things that we do in this community, we focus on top community issues, and we look at solutions to those issues. And some key features are, number one, we're local. It's the number one reason why people engage, the number one reason why people give to us, is the fact that we are here to serve the local community. Our board of directors, fully support and govern. So it's really about we the people and focusing on what's most needed here in our local community, which we believe we can get the best results with that. The way that we're able to be a top funder of nonprofit community programs is the fact that we run an annual campaign every year. We're in the midst of that right now. We raised $1.9 million last year, so we're hoping to get $1 more to support some of our new programs this year. And then we're just effective. We support over 25 programs. It's not a popularity contest. It's need-based.
Sure.
We are here to support the nonprofit community as a whole to make sure that there's enough nonprofit programming so that this community can continue to really thrive.
Sure. And speaking of that kind of programming, what sort of initiatives do you typically focus on here within the Washington County community?
Yeah, so all the funding that we distribute is broken down into 3 key impact areas.
Okay.
And we call these the building blocks of a successful life for all. And so it goes into the area of education, financial stability, and health. And then we do have key initiatives under each one of those. One that we're really proud of, we really brought the community together to say, what is the most emerging need happening in this community? And this happened right before the pandemic. And it was our focus on mental health. We realized there's not enough mental health programming right here in Washington County, especially from a nonprofit standpoint. And so we really had to take a look at mental health, though, and say, what's the biggest need? Because there's so many, it's such a large issue, and there's so many different things. And we just knew that there was not enough counseling programs for our youth.
Sure.
There was waiting list, and we just didn't want anybody to be on a waiting list if they're in desperate need of help. So we United Way was able to develop 2 new programs through Catholic Charities and Youth and Family Project. And Catholic Charities helps all people, not just Catholics, but they have an incredible behavioral health program. And so to bring them back to this community, to be able to do programming, focusing especially those that don't have insurance.
Sure.
And then Youth and Family Project doing group counseling for our youth. It really is about just getting services to our kids right away when they're most in need. So that's an example of us just looking at a top issue and bringing the community together for solutions.
Excellent. So you've obviously play a huge role in our community. How would you describe that impact, like that full impact that United Way has had here in Washington County over the years? I mean, obviously, all the fundraising, you have a very significant board and all of these initiatives that you take. What kind of impact does that make?
We've been here since 1936, so I'm proud of our roots. A couple of community members came together during the Great Depression saying we need to be able to support people in need, and it's about neighbors helping neighbors, and that has continued to be where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
So proud of that, but proud of what we've been able to do, especially in the last decade. We've been able to raise significant amount of money, and each year raising more money. We're almost doubling the amount of money we've raised in the last decade. But really the sweet spot and what's most important is how we're able to fund local programs. We have growing needs. We have a growing senior population, but also needs across the board for all ages. And so really challenging ourselves to say, as a community, we want Washington County to continue to thrive. And the best way we can do that is to make sure we have enough programs for people in need.
Great. So there are obviously some unique challenges, or maybe we can call them opportunities here in Washington County. What are some of those that United Way is currently focused on? I mean, you spoke of a few of them, but what are some others?
Yeah, I'm going to take this from more of a community leadership standpoint. We certainly have seen the need for the next generation of leaders to step up, our younger generation to get involved, to really take ownership, especially with so many retirements of baby boomers, our community aging. We've had so many great generation of leaders that have set a great foundation here in this community, but it's really the next generation we're trying to recruit to get involved. And so I'm really proud of our Emerging Leader program at United Way. It's something that launched a couple of years ago when Kevin Steiner, the former president and CEO of West Bend Insurance, was our campaign chair, and he certainly saw the need to get more of our young professionals a leadership role and engaged. And so since we've launched, we have so many different members that have come forward to the point that we actually have Emerging Leader alumni, and they're chairing the campaign this year. It's very exciting.
I see two from your main header graphic on your website are in our studio right now. And I recognize Amanda Novotny, and there's one other that I don't recognize. But.
Yeah, so Dominic Lab, who's also with West Bend Insurance.
Okay, very good. So we've got 50% of those from your website image in the studio. So welcome, you guys. So you have a new and very exciting partnership that we're going to talk about here in a moment. But when you decide to partner with some of the new take on some of these new partnerships or take on a new program here with the United Way of Washington County, being a significant nonprofit here in our community, what's the process for making that come to be, and what's the process of making that happen here?
Yeah, so it is important that we're always looking at our key focus areas, right, and staying with our priorities in that area of education, financial stability, and health. We knew we wanted to launch an initiative under education. Early childhood development is just critical and important. There's nothing better than getting our kids ready for the future. And we're also looking at, so it's need-based, but we're also looking at long-term impact. Where can we really make a dent, really make a difference? Something that we know that is effective, that's working in other communities is always something we look at. So it's a lot of different areas and involvement. And this was one with our emerging leaders that we were excited that they really took a hold of. Imagination Library that we're going to talk about is something that is working in a lot of communities throughout Wisconsin and the U.S. and actually has gone worldwide. But our neighboring United Ways of Oshkosh and Dane County and Dodge County and La Crosse area, they've launched this program a number of years ago and really have seen great success in getting books to kids. Great.
So you mentioned it, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. So could you tell us how that partnership came to be?
Yeah, so as we look at every new year, new campaign year, needs in the community, with the emerging leaders, alumni chairing, we wanted to really look at an opportunity to have a signature program that they could really get excited about and one that this community really needed. And so as we talked to our board and volunteers, People got really excited as we talked about how this Dolly Parton Imagination Library program is effective in other communities in the state. And you could see people at our board meeting were just like, this is a game changer. And if there's any ability that we can have and make an impact in that early childhood development area, truly believe this is a starting point and a way for us to do it.
So for those who aren't familiar, could you explain how that imagination library program works? It's super cool.
Yeah, so I can speak to that from personal experience, actually. Before moving to West Bend in 2018, my family and I lived in Madison, and my wife actually signed our 2 younger kids up for this program through the United Way of Dane County. And it's really simple. You just go and sign up, and books start coming in the mail, and they're really high quality books. I mean, there's a committee with Dolly Parton's foundation that vets the books and selects them. So they're really high quality books.
And you brought some with you, and they're hardcover. They're big. I mean, they're not little books. They're some are like 12 by 12 books, and they're or maybe even larger. And there's some significant ones, and they're ones that some of us know from growing up, and some are new. They're pretty cool. So, what age? Obviously, this doesn't go all the way up to like 18. What age does the Imagination Library serve?
Any child in Washington County, birth to 5, is eligible to sign up for Imagination Library.
Okay, and so how does this ensure that like each child is getting age-appropriate books that'll like keep them engaged?
So when you sign your kids up, you put in their birth date, so it gives age-appropriate books as they grow from birth to the age of 5. So when they're younger, they might be have fewer words and more pictures, and then gradually get a little more complex.
Sure.
And the first book is always The Little Engine That Could, and then the last one is Look Out, Kindergarten, Here I Come.
Oh, excellent. Okay. No, that's pretty cool. So the books grow with them as they grow. That's cool. So is the program available to all income levels, or is it just?
It is. There is no income requirement. You don't have to put in how much you make or anything like that when you sign up.
What kind of impact does United Way hope to see from this imaginary library program in terms of early childhood literacy, education development, those kind of things here in Washington County?
So they've actually done research on this and have found that kids who have participated in this program have improved their reading level by nearly 29% compared to kids who have not. So, if you think about it, kids that are read to when they're young are able to read more quickly as they enter school, and it helps keep them, at that age-appropriate level to learn as they continue to grow through school.
I know my youngest daughter, during the pandemic, my wife read all of the Harry Potter books to her, which is amazing, out loud, which is crazy to me. But it was the pandemic, and we weren't doing much. And now she's 9 now, and she's like 97% in the reading in the state. And I think I attribute that to every single day my wife reading to her. Could you talk a bit about why reading at an early age like that is so critical for children and lifelong learning, future success, things like that? How does a child's experience with books prior to age 5 shape them in the future?
So I think there are a couple ways you can look at this. One of them is it's just creating those building blocks of reading literacy, which they'll carry through their education for the rest of their lives. Being able to understand what they're reading is so incredibly important. And then, to piggyback on mental health crisis, there's nothing better than getting lost in a good book, right? So if we can spark that interest of reading and that love of reading at an early age, it gives older youth that reading out, like, okay, they can jump out of reality for a little bit, take a break, read a great story, feel mentally energized, and then get back to it.
So we talked about how the books come and they're, actual physical hardcover books, or I think they may all be hardcover. I don't know. Maybe some may be softcover, but they're not ebooks, right? So why is it so special for the kids to actually receive a physical book rather than perhaps an ebook or a book on an iPad or something like that?
I think there's just something special about having an actual book where you can turn the pages and look at the pictures. And especially at that age, when it's you as a parent reading to your child, that's just a really important bonding time. I mean, I remember reading to all of our kids, as they were going to bed, in their early years.
Mhm.
And, now they, my eldest son is reading Harry Potter as well. And they all love to read. And I think that really stemmed from those early days.
I didn't listen when my wife was reading it, so I always lose Harry Potter trivia at dinner every single night. So a lot of families obviously have more than one child in the home. If they sign both kids up, do they receive the same book for both kids? How does that work?
So that's actually one of the really cool things about this program is each child gets a book individually, and it's based off of that child's age.
Okay.
So no shared books there.
Okay, awesome.
And it actually has their name on a sticker on the back of the book as well.
Really?
So,
awesome.
Very personalized.
Yeah.
Yes. What kind of response has the Imagination Library program received so far from parents and families who have heard about this, specifically in Washington County?
It's been amazing, actually. In Washington County, we already have 1,300 families signed up, and this program just launched last month in October.
Wow. Okay. Is there a limit to how many people can sign up here in Washington County?
We do not have a limit.
Okay.
As we were looking at this, there's approximately about 5,000 in that 0 to 5 age group. So
Okay.
that will certainly be our target. We
Sure.
would love to get books in every single hand of kids. And with us just launching last month, we feel like we're off to a really good start. But certainly we want to continue to get the word out about this really valuable program.
Awesome. So it's available through the United Way of Washington County to families in Washington County. How easy is it to sign up? How do people sign up to do this?
It's really easy. You can just go to our website, unitedwayofwashingtoncounty.com, and right there on the home screen, you'll see a little box, Imagination Library. Just click on it, and it'll take you to the registration.
Sounds good. Is it .com or .org?
.org.
.org.
.org. That's okay. All right. UnitedWayofWashingtonCounty.org. Spell that all out. Are there any opportunities for local community members or businesses to get involved with supporting the Imagination Library initiative?
Yeah, so we're in the middle of United Way campaign season,
Mhm.
And as Kristen mentioned, Bridget and I are two of the co-chairs. So this year, and every year you can donate to whatever programs are important to you, and so that would include this one. So it costs $26 per child to give them 12 books for a year. So
Okay.
which I think is very reasonable if you've ever seen the book purchase programs come home from school. They're a lot more expensive than that.
I would say so. Yes, and we won't name the names of the programs, but I may have donated a mint to them. Looking ahead, is there a window for how long this program is going to be available to families? Is this simply something that's going to exist moving forward, or how long is this going to be available?
Yep, it will just be available on an ongoing basis going forward with funding provided by the United Way of Washington County.
We definitely have listeners, families, parents listening to this and grandparents listening to this. Do you have any tips for parents on fostering a love for reading with their children at home?
I think it's just a reminder that kids are born learning.
Mhm.
So right away, take every opportunity, everyday opportunity, turn it into a learning opportunity. Sitting down, that quality time, having your baby and your toddler in your lap, having that bonding time, as we talked about, how important it is to connect. That parental engagement, grandparent engagement, guardian engagement is just, it's so critical for the success of a child long term. And so any way we can get these books in the hands of kids, but also just focusing on that parental engagement and just how invaluable that is just really important, and just important to United Way, important to this community. And we can't stress enough the importance of early childhood development. Our brains are developed by 90% by the time we turn 5. So I know as a parent myself, that puts a lot of pressure on ourselves to say, my gosh, we got to make sure we take so many of these years, don't take them for granted, and how serious it is, and how we can shape the future of our kids, of this community. And that's through not only this program, but so many great nonprofit programs that we have with partners that are helping in this area. But certainly we hope we can have an impact long-term with this program.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's amazing, and I'm so glad you guys brought this to Washington County, that the United Way brought this to Washington County, and you're obviously a huge supporter of families here. And for an appeal to listeners, how can people get involved with supporting the United Way?
Yeah, so again, go to our website. We have the ability for people to learn more, get involved, donate, of course, is on our website, but also to get help. I always want to make sure I do a plug anytime I'm talking. Anybody listening that also needs help, we do fund a helpline that's called 211. We call it the first call for help to get people connected to local resources. So you'll see all of that on our website, or you can always call our office at 262-338-3821. And the last plug I want to give is to Dolly Parton. She is just a special lady and just a reminder. She really has put literacy at the top and at the forefront of her charitable giving. She talks about on her website, if you go to Imagination Library, on the website, you'll see that, she talks about her father and what a hero he was, but he did not have the ability to go to school and be educated. And literacy has just become her lifelong passion and just really her give back to her dad in honor of him. And I don't think there's anything better than that story and just wanting to make the biggest impact. And she's so giving to so many different charities. She just gave a huge amount for hurricane relief, but this is her main priority signature project, and we're just so proud to partner.
Awesome. Favorite Dolly Parton song?
Oh, definitely Jolene.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Jolene.
Jolene?
Yep, I third that.
Oh, I was going to say, why'd you come in here looking like that?
If I could just add one more thought, for my family, my wife and I, we always made sure that our kids had plenty of books. So these were really kind of a bonus for us. But for a lot of families, books are more of a luxury.
Yeah.
And so, if anyone that can fund this program, you could very well be providing books for kids that don't have any other books. So I think it's really important.
No, 100%. I think that's amazing. And Bridget, Kristen, Joe, thank you so much for coming in, for sharing this, and again, for bringing this amazing program to our community. It's going to help children of all ages, income levels, of all ages from 0 to 5 years old, but income levels, and it will help them into their future. So thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming on the show, and really appreciate it.
Happy reading. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again to Kristen Brandner, Bridget David, and Joe Pickler for joining me on this week's episode of 15 Minutes with Fuzz. Such a cool program, and I hope all of you who are able to take advantage of it do so. And if you know somebody who's able to take advantage of it, that you encourage them to do so. Reading is such an important skill. And while slack-jawing on a microphone is not as important of a skill, I like it. If you know someone who would make a good guest for this show, please reach out and let me know. You can email me, fuzz@fuzzmartin.com. That is fuzz@fuzzmartin.com. Or you can use the Suggest a Guest form at fuzzmartin.com/guest. That is fuzzmartin.com/guest. New episodes come out on Tuesdays. Next week, we talk about the Gingerbread House program to help families in need this holiday season right here in Washington County. So with that, I'll talk to you next Tuesday, right here on 15 Minutes with Fuzz.